Hey.
Hello, everyone.
I almost wanted to open the camera being on with me sleeping.
I
Um,
I mean, I know we said it after Milwaukee, but it is genuinely I'm burnt, man.
yeah,
What a weekend.
yeah. Um, what a weekend indeed. Um, I mean, not only busy all day, the travel and everything else, but the late nights, and then you
Mhm.
hang out in the hotel afterwards, and yeah, but a lot of fun. Great seeing everybody. Great, good seeing you.
No, dude, we talk about it every time. The DLC experience is genuinely second to none, man. I mean, I feel like there were a lot of people who kind of went into this weekend a little bit jaded because it's been a minute, right, since we've had an event this size. But there's nothing like going to one of these events. I legitimately had so many people come up to me and they were like, "I've been kind of in a slump with the game, but this really reignited my fire to want to play more." And then a lot of people playing in the Infinity event. I heard a lot of positive from the Infinity event. Humble himself came up to me and he was like, "I had so much fun playing Infinity, and I didn't think that was something I would say before this weekend."
Yeah, yeah. It did seem like I don't know. I did get that energy from a lot of people there. We have had the bummer of there being only 3 events here in North America, and so it's been a while since the last one. Where last season it felt like every month. Now it's every few months, and then yeah, some people are jaded with the meta a little bit, and then of course we had that discussion. It felt like even 2 weeks ago about Cookie Run and is it stealing Lorcana's thunder and is the game okay and that all seemed to disappear and kind of melt away this weekend.
Mhm.
Just and honestly, it wasn't just at the event. It was also online in the various Discord spaces, in the various social media networks. It felt like everybody was kind of re-energized and oh my goodness, thank you for Concrud and jet lag. Yeah, you hear that? Thanks. Hold on, my computer's being just show this comment. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, Concrud and jet lag for sure. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. The Concrud is a thing. Um, but yeah, so it did feel like the energy was there just across the Lorcana space, and I don't know, it was kind of invigorating. I agree with you.
No, I mean, it was. So many people I got to talk to that, I mean, I honestly haven't seen in forever. A lot of my old Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh family that I had to leave when I took this job to come out to Iowa, I got to see them. A lot of my new Iowa family were also there.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it was great to see all, everyone. Um, got, as usual, got to spend the entire weekend with all of Team Maelstrom. It's just when we all get together, I mean, there's really nothing like it. I'm gonna be honest. People talk about con crud, but like those couple of days after that after con depression, kind of hits a little
yeah,
bit too. Because I got in Thursday around 2 o'clock, and I was there with Wonder. He and I were there from like 2 o'clock to the end of the day. So was Sky. So we were playing, testing games, kind of getting ready, and then Bannable and Sailor got there that night, and we continued just playing games with them. So going from just spending all that time in close proximity with some of my favorite people in the world to coming home and I'm just kind of back home by myself. I'm like, can I get like another another few days of that? Because I mean, it's like a dream when it happens.
yeah, yeah. It Yeah. It's a blur too. Like I get back and even during the event, like you roll in there in the morning, you got your coffee and I feel like I blink and the day's over. It's every second is accounted for, whether it's, playing or in the booth or, walking around and seeing people. There's never I've never done anything, besides maybe at Disney World, being at Disney, but even then, there's, like, a pause during the day. But I think this is the first time I've ever done any event, these DLCs, where it feels like there's not a lull. Like, there's something to do 100% of the time, um, even if it's just talking with people or walking around. Um, but yeah, it's fun, but it is also exhausting.
Oh, it's absolutely exhausting. So I've only ever done one Friday event before. I believe it was
Yeah,
in
we need to talk about Friday events. But
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, let's do that. We can just hop into that and talk about my experience there. So I've only ever done one Friday event. I believe it was in Vegas. I was able to get the day off and get there early. But because there's so few in the interim, I decided as soon as the Friday event, the main event was announced, I decided, all right, I have to do this. I'm going to the events to get some high level play in, and I really want to, I mean, just kind of make the most of it. So Sailor, Kurt, and I all registered the exact same 60 dogs list for Friday. And 7 rounds playing dogs is so much more exhausting than anybody can give it credit for. Um, and we all did fantastic on Friday. All three of us individually ended 5-2. Um, one went away from getting a play mat individually, but about as many tickets and all the promos as you can get. Was feeling really good about our performance there. And then for the main event, or no, let's continue with Friday. Let's just keep on with that. It was a really, I feel like Friday was really telling of what Saturday was going to look like. It was just amethyst the room. Obviously,
Yeah.
there wasn't a ton of dogs representation, but obviously, me and Sailor and Kurt kind of inflated that, and then we were at the top tables all day, so there were people who were like, "Dogs is everywhere." I don't know what's going on, but even Diego, he was playing Emerald Sapphire on Friday. Habibi, I think he was playing dogs, but he ended up just getting some bad matchups consistently. Um, I think anybody that was kind of known or would have been scouted, we played a different deck than we were going to on Saturday just to try to mask what potentially might happen because you never know, right? What kind of crazy stuff we're going to bring out. But was there anything that you saw on Friday that was, I don't know, noteworthy or interesting or?
No, I mean, I think one, I have to say, just remind folks that in Milwaukee we did not have Friday events, and so this was the first time this season we've had Friday events and gotten. So if anybody was new to Lorcana this season, it's the first time experiencing that. And two, it was it was a reminder of what the 3-day event could look like, and I actually really enjoyed it. I know I see Jay Verison here. So the Friday event was a bit much, and I don't know if I would do it again. Yeah, I can understand the idea of wanting to take it easy, but even if it was just like being in the room with people, walking around, chatting, playing a few casual games, I really, really like the venue being open on Friday, and getting to kind of do that socializing before the main event begins. I think that's really, really great. So I hope that's a sustain. In terms of what I saw, if we're talking about like the competitive implications, nothing different than what you said. I did go around and try to see what some of the more competitive players, some of the more well-known players are playing, and I think you're 100% right. Every one of them was on something different for the most part. There are a few that just rolled with whatever they were going to do, but yeah, it was a lot of people kind of masking what they were doing. But then, in retrospect, as we looked at the meta in day 2, the meta share on Friday was pretty much what the meta share on Saturday was.
Hmm,
So it wasn't like the preponderance of the room was doing that, or if they were, everybody just like rotated evenly,
yeah,
because it was pretty consistent with what we saw for the overall event. And we'll talk more about the meta later, but I'll talk about my initial impression out of Friday because I think it really mattered, which was there wasn't a lot of aggro. Dogs, I think we all thought, I thought at the high end it would be like 15%. Although realistically, probably around 12 or 13%.
it
And it was
wasn't even.
below 10.
Yeah, it was like 8% overall.
Yeah. And even then, Ruby Amy, which also can occupy that aggro slot, was down around 5%. And there's different builds there. So like if you add up the various decks, and so then you also had Emerald Amethyst, although the burn deck, I'll count it as an aggro deck because it does go fast early. So let's just call it that.
It is.
Um, it's probably about 2%, or maybe let's say half, maybe 2.5% of that 5%. So overall, aggro was about what, 15 to 17% of the room,
Yeah, if
which
that.
was interesting because it meant that if you were watching on Friday, you could account for that with some of your techs on Saturday.
Mhm. And I mean, we saw that with a lot of the Blurple and Amethyst Steel players. I think every Blurple list that made day 2 was on Wasabi or some count of Wasabi, and a good amount of Amethyst Steel players were on Benja. Um, and that's what we felt on Friday when all of us played dogs. It was genuinely a serious consideration for Sailor and I. But then we saw the amount of dogs tech that was there on Friday, and Sailor and I were like, all right, well, we don't feel comfortable running this main event because people really do not want to lose to dogs. Kurt is obviously Kurt, so he's a better pilot at the deck than Sailor and I are. I'll say that with absolutely no problem. I don't think anybody would dispute that. So he took that information. He made a couple of adjustments for what he did during the Saturday event, but I genuinely feel like that was the vibe of the weekend. Everybody kind of identified dogs as the boogeyman, and everybody had some plan to deal with it if they ran into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting though, because it's a perfectly, with that meta share, it is a perfectly viable strategy to go, you know what? If I'm gonna run into it 1 out of every 10 games, maybe, you could ignore it. You could say, I'm gonna roll the dice and I'm gonna throw the dogs match in favor of teching for the control match and just hope I run into it once.
So just as a fun, I guess this is a fun behind the scenes thing from the Maelstrom camp. So the last month we have really been, I mean, just heads down, grinding, testing, trying to prepare for as much as possible. We wanted a better showing in Richmond than we had in Milwaukee. We had a pretty solid showing in Milwaukee, but none of us made top cut. So our general consensus was that Emerald Sapphire was the strongest deck in the format right now. But we had two opposing ideas. We had the Sailor list that initially was running like a Max Goof and a Heffalumps and Woozles, just as a way to recur Malicious, Mean, and Scary. They try to act as like John Silver copy number 5 to stop things from questing and churn through your deck. And Sky was of the opinion that we don't need that, or Under the Sea, that Improvise is good enough to pop illusions and churn through the deck a little bit more.
Interesting. And
Sorry, had to
it
sneeze.
was right.
Yeah. So, just full disclosure: 5 out of the 8 of us played. No, 6 out of the 8 of us played Emerald Sapphire for Saturday. The outliers were Kurt and RMB. Kurt obviously is on dogs. I mean, I don't think that there's a dogs player other than maybe Diego who was better at the deck than him. So it was just comfort. He knew it was the boogeyman. He decided to bring it. RMB decided to bring Amber Amethyst. He felt really confident into all the Amethyst decks with it. And I mean, it showed. He made day 2. But yeah, the night before, Sky was of the opinion we are already losing to dogs. I don't want to put Under the Sea in my deck when it gives me like a 5 to 10% swing from like 35% to 40% maybe. He's like, if I run into dogs, I run into dogs, but otherwise I'm just hoping to dodge. And turns out this guy was ultimately correct for the day at the end of the day, making it all the way to the finals. But as far as the Maelstrom representation and tournaments went, 5 of the 8 of us ended up making day 2. And of those 5, 2 of them ended up making top 32, Wonder and Sky. Wonder was on the Under the Sea list with me, Sailor, Humble, and Bannable. Sky obviously on his version of the list, but only 3 cards difference. But what a difference it made, right? I mean, that's how impactful like those 3 slots were. I think we were talking last week. I was just giving little nuggets of Humble and I were getting down to the last 2 or 3 slots in the deck, and it was really having the discussion with Sailor and Wonder and Sky of whether or not Under the Sea was worth it. And up until Friday night at midnight, like we were still having that discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed very much, again, behind the scenes from, I guess, Maelstrom and me, without giving any away Maelstrom secrets. I enjoyed very much grabbing dinner. I just happened to grab dinner with you all on Friday night and got to listen to some of the team deliberations, and it was really really fun for me to kind of see a little bit behind, under the hood of how a team like Maelstrom operates and discusses strategy going into big events. I enjoyed it very much, so appreciate that little peek, and it gave me some nuggets for the broadcast as well. I do want to talk more about like the meta, and I really want to talk about the finals. We'll get into that, but before
Yeah.
we get into more competitive play, um, I do want to take a step back and just talk about just the the social nature of the event, because I want to um, just talk about like how nice it was meeting people, and then we'll get back into competitive play. Um, I just have to say, and I want to take the opportunity early in the show to say that the highlight of the event for me, the gameplay is amazing, commentating is amazing, but really like going around and meeting people. There were a lot of you in the comments here tonight, even who are watching the show live, who I got to see at the show, and really really appreciate all the folks who commented on this show, on our content, who gave some tips on things they like to see. And but when it's really, really refreshing as a content creator to have somebody tell you that they've watched something of yours, even if they don't like it. If they just said they watched it, the fact that they gave you their time is really, really meaningful. And I'll be quite honest, I don't know if I would have been doing content this long if I didn't have those periodic touch points with folks where they told me that the content matters. So I appreciate everybody who took the time to say hello, and take selfies. I also, a couple people, I shout out to Amy Weekly for the awesome bracelets. That was wonderful as well. The friendship bracelets, I wore them on stream all weekend.
I wore it all weekend. I didn't take it off.
Yeah, it was a wonderful way to start the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, just to mirror what you're saying, there's so many times when we get on and to a degree feels like we're talking to the void other than the chat that shows up. But there are people that came and talked to me and said hello and expressed genuine interest in us doing this every night and like had positive things to say about, hey, I really enjoy the way you bounce off of Liam. I enjoy his take on things, but then you have a different perspective, and it just really makes a refreshing conversation. And I mean, those things mean a lot. There are times when I feel that maybe I'm not the best partner for this type of thing, but then having people come up and genuinely being like, "No, I enjoy what you're doing. I enjoy the way you speak and your perspective and commentary on things." I'm like, wow, maybe this is absolutely worthwhile. And I don't know, it's something that I don't get a lot in everyday life just from this type of thing, because sometimes I just don't have time to do Twitter or Instagram stuff anymore. But man, there's really nothing like just being around the community and having that kind of feedback.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. I also, where's the I had it here. I've got my box of cards. I was gonna show them, but maybe I can't.
Oh, hey, well, while you get that, I'm gonna like hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on, one second.
All right, we're doing show and tell. All right. Yeah, I had my box of cards, and it has my signed cards, but it also has the cards the community signed for me. It must be in the kitchen, which is a long way away. All right. I'm waiting with bated breath.
It may not be that impressive, but so for Friday, and I thought this was really cool. If you ended up going five wins, 2 losses, there were 7 rounds total. If you went 5 wins, 2 losses, you got a copy of all of the non-foil promos.
Mhm.
And I didn't know that. I thought we were strictly playing for tickets. But so the first promo, I haven't even opened them, so we can go through it. They're non-foils, so we can go through and they all have these new golden rims at the bottom and the new foilings next to the symbol. So we have Dragonfire, we have the new Simba, which I mean just looks fantastic.
Mm.
The non-foil Pegasus. I really think the full art just does him so much justice. He looks awesome. New Mulan. She has a little bit of shiny on with her, which I mean just looks fantastic.
Oh, it looks so good.
And then the Elsa. Oh wait, no, there's one more.
Surprise promo.
A surprise promo. Oh,
Uh,
Let It Go. I didn't even know this was in there.
Beautiful.
So I like that they're giving out these different versions of these. Like I said, I didn't know that I was playing for these until I got to the end of the day, and everybody's like, "Hey, let's go pick up our promos." And I
You're
was
like,
like, "Wait,
oh,
what?" So I like that they're putting out more. I guess exclusive would be a good word. More ways to get copies of these cards, and they're marked so you know that they come from the DLC themselves because they have that new gold fringe at the bottom. I don't know. I think they look fantastic, and I'm really happy to see this type of pricing at the events because it feels like it gives you more to play for instead of just tickets and trying to pick off things from just the prize wall. And then obviously, you know, the foil Pegasus and
oh yeah,
Mulans
yeah, so good.
that you know just and the foiling on these are always amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Yeah, I will not get over that Pegasus. The Pegasus is, I think, worth more right now than the Mulan is, which is
I think he's a more playable card,
well
and that's
fair.
why.
I just aesthetically, I think he's just also just amazing. Both art is great, but like that Pegasus is just so adorable. Um, yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, and I like that they seem to be accessible. You know, as opposed to, and of course you had to perform to get them, but you know, there are scenarios in which you would have to grind like all day to get enough tickets to get like a couple of them. And
Yeah,
the fact that you did the main event and then also managed to get all the promos is pretty great.
yeah. I mean, like I said, it made it even. They really want people to get in these events and finish the events, and I think they're making it worth it for you to actually play out your rounds. Every like every round in the side event on Friday, whether you win or you lost, you got tickets. A win was 1,000 tickets, a loss was 200 tickets, but it gives you skin in the game to continue to play. Whereas I feel like before you were playing for a threshold and you'd get to a certain threshold and you'd just be like, oh, well, I can't do any more past this point, so I'll just drop and do whatever. But they're really trying to make it worth it for you to finish out these events. And I think that's a positive for the weekend. They're really going to get your money's worth out of investing in your time to do these things.
Yeah, it's great event design. Getting a lot of notes in the chat saying the Let It Go sold out early, which is kind of a bummer. So note for future events, if you're aiming for all of them, don't let the Let It Go. Make sure you get it early. Of course, you know, on the broadcast side, we don't get to compete for any promos. We do get a couple as a thank you, which is nice. But
You guys get a Pegasus and Mulan for sure, right?
we did, yeah, but not a foil Mulan. You know,
Oh yeah, well,
that's for playing. So,
yeah,
which is really nice. Like for them, they don't have to give us anything. So for them to give us the Pegasus even is really really nice. So I appreciate that a lot. Some of my treasures from the weekend, I really enjoyed. I was collecting cards of a different variety. One, I'd put out an Instagram video, talking about how much I love getting cards signed from the community. And I started collecting some of these, I think at Charlie's or at PPG.
no, I think you
PPG.
started in PPG.
Yeah.
Wasn't it PPG Denver that you started carrying that?
No, I think this was, I didn't start this really till Orlando.
Okay.
So I got a few there, and then I put out an Instagram video, which is not my primary platform, about how I enjoy collecting them. And I think about 10 or 12 people gave me some signed cards, which I'm gonna do a reel about later. So I really appreciated that. It's nice because I get to not only get the card, but get the story from the person as to why that card resonates, and that's really nice. So I appreciate everybody who gave me cards. I'm gonna do a binder throughout the year, and um, Scott, I have yours right here. I honestly have not opened the envelope yet because I've been saving it for some post DLC like warm and fuzzy. So it's right here, ready to go. I'll probably open it tonight or maybe tomorrow. So I appreciate all that. And then the artists, really enjoyed meeting the artists as well. I fanboyed out way too hard, but got a few signed cards there, and that was delightful. John does not sign cards very often at all, so this was a nice treat for the community.
I mean, there's you always bring real attention to it whenever artists come around because I don't think we always give them their due diligence or half of as much attention as they deserve. Uh, I mean, there are a lot of when we get to the end of a format, right? There are so many times you don't even really read the text of cards anymore. You just see the picture of the card, the artwork on the card, and you just know, oh well, this is Genie, this is what it does. This is Dumbo, this is what it does. This is World's Greatest Criminal Mind. This is Lantern. This is like you just know what card does before as it hits the table, and I'm really bad at it too myself. I don't know a lot of these artists' names, but you bringing attention to them, I mean, it's very important. If we're going to continue to have, I genuinely believe, and I will die on this hill at any point in time. I think Disney Lorcana has some of the best artwork in any TCG. I genuinely believe that, and now some of the alt artwork we're getting for cards is just proving that even more that we're able to take these ideas that we've had for 2 years now and just continue to see them in a new light. I think going forward, we're going to continue to get blown away from them. I mean, we're starting to get Winter Spell teases, and some of it is just amazing. So I expect as the years go on with this game, we're just going to get even more and more amazing artwork. So I want to continue with you to just shout them out and give them their due diligence.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree with you. And I like, one of the things that was missing from season one or parts of season one was having artists at the events, and they started bringing them in later, and really, really like having them there. So big sustain. And especially when they're from, Europe. So bringing in artists who we do not get to access very often is really, really great. Also, thanks to everybody who's subscribing on Twitch. I just got to pause and say that like a good Twitch person. There's like things going on over there, and like shiny things, and so Big Thunder color. Somebody else subscribed earlier. Really appreciate you all. And a gift. I don't know. We can't on the restream plot. This is for anybody listening later. Sorry for the Twitch diversion, but on restream I can't see the Twitch platform very well. I have to manage it on a completely separate phone, and so I'm not always in there. But I appreciate all of you supporting the show. So thanks for doing the thing. And yeah, so we should talk about the tournament a little bit. I feel like,
Yeah.
But to do that, I want to start with Brent. Hey, Brent, jumping in here. A sub goal. I'm at a sub goal.
You had a sub goal?
I guess I did. I guess it was 40, and I just hit it. That is cool. I didn't even know that was going on. You all are too awesome. Okay. All right. I'll get my head out of Twitch for a minute. All right. So, before I talk about the actual event, we got to talk about something else, and that is not that. It is. Hold on. All right. Hold on. I got to upload.
We'll find the screen.
Yeah.
We are professionals.
Hold on. Yeah. I actually built this screen as you were talking earlier, so it's not uploaded yet. But we need to talk about this.
Oh, hey. Oh, how you won 1 point over Katie.
Well, okay. So Um, the intent for this slide was not to like brag about the win over Katie, but the way they put the way when they posted the screen on Instagram, they broke us up into pairs, and Katie and I just happened to be on the same screen, and I just didn't crop her out. But it was fun to show Katie and give her props too because she was second place. Katie and I were top two. But I want to talk about the draft only because it's really, really, I think it's really, really fun. And it's fun for us on the broadcast side, but I also enjoyed, and for those who maybe are here watching who didn't watch the draft, um, what we do now at the start of challenges is it's been a fun game that they started over in Europe in Bologna to have the commentators draft 5 players, and we do it just like a draft. We roll dice, see who goes first. We have our lists of players who we know are going to be there, and we go down the line and pick players until our teams are full. And it's really, really fun because I think it does a few things. One, it gives the audience kind of a list of players, an initial list of players who were there, who they can like follow throughout the weekend. It's a checklist of like, oh yeah, here's 25 big players who were there. Two, it gives you storylines to follow through the weekend. And then, three, it like storylines of the players, but then three, like the draft team storylines are also super fun as we're all kind of competing and seeing who's moving on. Um and then the other thing I like to do, I always like to grab a player too who's like, maybe hasn't won a golden Mickey yet, or hasn't made continentals yet, but is like on the bubble and and is right there, and to kind of call like that shot and be like, yeah, this is this person's break. So I was really appreciative of the players on the team for taking the time out before. There's a lot of people I should have picked. I'm sorry. Um, a lot of people I should have picked. Um, so I apologize to anybody I didn't, but I appreciate the players on the team here taking time out of the day before the start of the event to take a photo. I really want this to become a thing on the broadcast where we get like actual like team photos or videos, and we can do some fun stuff with it. But yeah, this was a lot of fun for me, and I really enjoyed. And all of the players, at least on my team, like really leaned into it. Um, and they it was really fun walking around, and every player on the team, like when I saw them, they're like, I got another couple wins. I'm still in it. I'm still alive. And everybody like took the responsibility of being on the team seriously, which was a ton of fun. So shout out to the team here. It was a lot of fun. And yeah. Logan and I in the green rooms, Steven's like, hey, you need to mention why I drifted. So everybody knows I had Logan on the team. Logan, I had you on the team in Milwaukee, and I knew other people wanted you. And there was an emphasis on us kind of like diversifying our teams and not just picking the same 5 people every event to try to like, you know,
To try to snipe.
to try to make it more fun. So like, I I didn't draft you because I knew somebody else wanted you, and yeah, so I apologize.
No, so from my perspective, like just this is just me. I was absolutely blown away in Milwaukee when I got picked, whether it was you or anybody else. When you came up to me in Milwaukee and were like, "Hey, I chose you for the draft," I was like, "Oh, wow!" Like because there's so many amazing players that go to these things, right? Um, for me, getting picked in general, um, I wouldn't expect it just with how my runs have gone. Obviously, Milwaukee was an absolute dream for me, and I went 8-0. But this time around, I get a message from Lorcana Villain Friday night, and he goes, "Hey, Saturday morning, my team for my draft is meeting in front of the Lorcana banner near the stream setup. You want to come?" Be part of the team. And I was like, absolutely, sir. So much like you, oh gosh, who was my team? Real quick, I did. We took a picture for Twitter. Um, Give me five
I remember. I
seconds.
know you had Bivens.
Yeah. So Lorcana Villain's team was myself, Zach Bivens, Kendall Burnett, Jeremy, and Melissa Lizard Kitty. So it felt like Villain absolutely went for just as stacked a team as possible. Not to say that any of the teams weren't as stacked. I mean, you just look at yours, right? I mean, you have Sailor, Ed, Dragon Johns. I mean, it's just out. I mean, but that's again the quality of players that are going to these DLCs. I never expect to get picked, but all weekend, I mean, it was like we were a team, right? Obviously, I'm really good friends with. I mean, all four of the other people. Jeremy, I've got to talk with him a whole lot more this weekend than I have ever, but really good friends with Zach Bivens, really good friends with Kendall, obviously. So all weekend we're like, guys, we gotta keep the villain team alive. Every round we were checking in to see how things would go. Um, and it's really fun. Just from a player standpoint, it's really fun. None of us have any real, I guess, negative pride about it or any sort of hurtful competition. It's all in good fun, and that's the way we approach it. Man, but for all of villains picks, I feel like we, other than Jeremy absolutely killed it this weekend. He ended up making day two. I think he ended day one with a 7-1 record. But I think me, Bivens, Kendall, and Melissa all, I think we all ended up bustering out around round seven. We were all alive right up until round seven, or I think Zach may have had a winning in, but the rest of us all were. It wasn't our day. I started off really strong. Going into round six, I was 4-1, and then at that point, my deck just kind of decided it wasn't going to play the game anymore. My round six, I was on Emerald Sapphire. I paired into Amethyst Steel. I had just played Amethyst Steel 3 rounds before. I had 2-0'd it for 3 rounds, so I was feeling really confident. But my first altar for the game, I altered away 6, and my draws were Under the Sea, Mother Knows Best, You're Welcome, and Baby Clarabelle. And that's just kind of how the draws kept on going after that. So he played down 3 Captain Hooks and a Giant Cobra and used those 4 characters to quest to 20 for the game. That's how little I actually got to interact. So it's one of those moments of it feels bad because the deck just kind of decided it didn't want to work anymore for the day and just kind of failed me in that aspect. But also, there's nothing I could have done to prevent that, right? There's nothing I could have outplayed my way of to change the outcome of that game. So there's a little bit of like mind relief from that, of like, this just wasn't my moment. It wasn't my weekend. Milwaukee was my weekend and my try. This weekend was obviously for Wonder and Sky. This was their time to shine. And our testing and everything prepared all of us individually. I genuinely feel like we chose the correct ink combination for the event. I mean, obviously it showed. We got it was an Emerald Sapphire mirror in the finals. So like I genuinely think it was the deck for the weekend. But yeah, it just decided to fail me in the last 2 rounds when I needed to make it to day 2. But that's okay. That's going to happen. Variance is going to happen in card games. I think this is a really important moment to remind people that as much as you have highs, I mean, like I said, Friday, Sailor, Kurt, and I, we brought the same 60. We all went 5-2. Like, we're feeling really, really good going into the Saturday event. Going into round 6, I was 4-1. My very first round, fun fact, I paired into Brian Cortad, the rat. Which
Oh,
is
I laughed.
somebody else I'm really, really good friends with, obviously. Known him since the beginning. We've been playing since, the early Tia Beastie event days. But we sit down in front of each other and we're just like, what are the odds in the room of 2,000 people that like this has got to be round 1. Come on, man. And we had a really good set. It was really, really close. We went to game 3. I needed to top deck either some dig like Visions Are Developed to find Under the Sea or a Malicious Me and Scary. If I had one of those 2 cards, then that was the game. But I mean, just really, really good friends, really good back and forth. So I didn't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about my run at all. I'm really proud of how it went in general. Obviously, if I could have made day 2 or done a little better. That'd been ideal. But the way it happened, it's not something that it's not weighing me down, if that makes sense. And especially with the success of the team in general. Um, I mean, we prepped, we did as much as we could, and I think it really, really showed. So I'm incredibly proud of how the weekend went in general, and yeah, just on to the next one. Like I said, this is a good moment to remind everybody, like you're gonna have lows, and the lows just make the highs that much better. You just go to the next one, and variance will eventually follow your way.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was an excellent run, and, I know how much you prepped and very good. I it's 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 a reminder of how hard these events actually are.
Yeah,
Like, um, even and I'm gonna use the draft picks as an example. You know, this is my team, and this is Katie's team, and every team is, like, equally stacked with incredible players, and I have to say, like, we had lists of hundreds of players and hundreds of players who we knew of, who were viable people to make day 2 in the top cut, and it gets to the last round, and you're debating between, all of these incredible players. So many incredible people didn't get drafted. Scott Markson didn't get drafted. He's second in North America, didn't get drafted, right? Because there's so many amazing people in the room. And out of all of those players, out of all these incredible players, like in the first cut, and this, just gonna say, like I don't remember how many didn't make day 2, but my team was the only one with a full roster going into day 2. Most of the other teams had lost, quite a few more. So out of the best players, out of all of us being able to choose the 5 best players in the room, a good chunk of those didn't make day 2. And then at the top cut, out of all these incredible players, I think out of the people that we all picked as ones we thought were going to make a run, there were like 3 or 4 who made the top cut, and that was it.
out
And
of
then
all of the drafts, by the
out
way,
of, out
not
of,
just
out of all of them,
yeah.
yeah, out of all the drafts, none of my players made the top cut out of this incredible team. Um, so it's just a reminder that making out of 2,000 people, out of a room of 2,000 people, including hundreds of incredibly talented, of the best players and Golden Mickey winners, and with the variance and everything else, like 32 players moving on. You have to go 10-2. That's a really, really tall task, even for the best players, the best TGG players out there. So, um, even if you prepare as much as you possibly can, even if you do everything right and you get the sleep you need and you bring the right deck even and you make the exact right meta call, like still the odds are stacked against you. And so you have to have your day.
Well, I mean, yeah, just look at Tiago, right? I mean, obviously another person I'm really, really good friends with. I talk with him on a pretty consistent basis. He went, he was 5-0 at the start of the day. He was 5-0, 10-0. He hadn't dropped a game up until that point. And then just the last 3 rounds just gets absolutely squashed. Like he came up to us after round 6. He's like, "I'm X1. It's okay." Then round 7, "I'm X2. I'm still alive." And then round 8, he was like, "I lost. I don't like." He was he was like dumbfounded. He was like, "I don't know what happened." Like he was like, "My deck just I didn't draw what I needed." He was like, "It's crazy." I was like,
Yeah.
"I know what that feels like, man. It's great." But I mean, Tiago, who I would argue is easily like top 5 in the world right now as far as player skill, um, didn't make day 2. It's a very difficult thing to do. Variance is very hard in these events, especially with how open the meta currently was. There was anywhere from 5 to 7 decks that you could have brought that I genuinely think had a shot of not even making day 2, but making top cut. Um, yeah, I mean it was just open. It was hard to anticipate everything, and you had to get lucky.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of since you brought up decks, I did throw up the meta share here. Um, and just some interesting. I mean, I know people saw this out the weekend, but just some interesting observations. I think the top 5 shook out pretty much where people thought they were. I'm not gonna lie, Logan. I thought Amethyst Steel might actually have been higher than it was. But definitely not surprised to see it the most well represented deck at about 24%. Dogs are probably a little bit lower than I thought, although at the end of the day, dogs is a difficult deck to bring on to play if you're not, if you haven't had some reps on it. So just below 10% is not super surprising. But overall, I didn't see anything in here that really surprised me. Amber Amethyst making that late push as a viable deck. Actually, I can make this bigger if I do this. We can go to
There we
here.
go.
Making a late push as a viable deck. Everybody was talking about it. A lot of people brought it in. They thought it was the hotness, and it came in at 5%. And yeah, overall, did this surprise you at all? What people chose to bring in?
No, not at all. We had a team meeting before. I think it was Wednesday night. And I'm not gonna lie, we were within like 2 to 4%. With all of the meta share things. The only things we were wrong about, kind of like you, we were expecting more Amethyst Steel. We were expecting that to be about 28%, if not 30%. But if you take that 5% away from Amethyst Steel and you just like distribute it amongst the other Amethyst decks, that's kind of where that shook out. So this was pretty well what we expected. Even after Friday, this almost down to the letter, like what we thought we were going to be seeing. And it makes sense, right? Amethyst Steel, very, very strong. Blurple, still an incredibly consistent and strong deck. Emerald Sapphire, arguably doing the most powerful thing in the game. Dogs, you could say, I mean, I will say, has a good matchup into all of the other top four decks. It has a really good matchup into Emerald Sapphire, really good matchup into Blurple. I would say that the Amethyst Steel matchup is about 50-50 if the Dogs player knows what they're doing. But then you have the deck like Ruby Amethyst that really, really preys on dogs. I think if you're looking at something that's like as close to a 0% matchup as possible, it's Ruby Amethyst and the dogs. They drop a Lumiere
Hmm.
on 2, and the game is just over. Like the dogs player no longer has a path to victory, which is absolutely wild. Um, but no, I think this was pretty well exactly what we were expecting to see. What about you? Was this kind of what you were expecting? Did you think there was going to be some sort of wild card that we hadn't seen yet that was going to pop up?
No, this is genuinely where I thought it was going to be. If there's a couple, I'll give a couple notes. As I say, I thought Amber Amethyst might be higher. Actually, a lot of people thought it was kind of the secret sauce, not the one turn win version, but
Mid
the
range.
more mid range version in an Amethyst heavy meta. Although perhaps it was the right call because it didn't convert any in the top 32. I don't think. But I thought that might be a little higher. I thought Ruby Amethyst. I'm surprised Ruby Amethyst is actually that high. I thought that would actually be lower, closer to about 5%. I thought dogs would be around 12 to 13%. I think dogs came in a little lower, and then I thought Amethyst Steel would be a little bit higher. But then you take a look over on day two. It's always fun to look at conversion rates and how well everything actually did. People say Amethyst Steel underperformed. It did kind of. I mean, it dropped 2%, which is, I think, right on par. It's
Yeah.
just about even to me. But Blurple, way overperforming into day two. Emerald Sapphire also doing very well, picking up 6% of the meta share going into day two. With a lot of and what this is it's a lot of these B tier decks kind of dropping off as well.
Yeah.
And then you see Sapphire Steel, Amber Amethyst converting about even, Ruby Amethyst dropping pretty hard by like 50%. So the Ruby Amethyst did not have a good day. Also, Amethyst Emerald coming in at 5%, close to 6% on day one, dropping down to about 2% on day two. So, and then shout out to the Amber. I forget. I have the name and I've forgotten it. Josh Paul was shouting about earlier, but shout out to the one Amber Sapphire player making day two. And then Amber Steel. Kudos to you. I'm interested in those lists if anybody has them. What do you think?
I do want to make a quick correction.
Mm,
Amber Amethyst did convert into top 32. It was Dave Solberg, Attack for Two. He made it into
Oh,
top
good. Okay.
32. He made it in top 16, actually. Also, Zan was in top 32.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. I was thinking the mid-range version, the OTK. I know Zan made a run, but Dave making it that far, that's great. I missed
Yeah.
that.
Notably, both of them losing to DKB.
Hmm.
Both of them going to game three, but notably DKP taking
Yeah.
out
Oh,
both of
Dave said
the.
there were three. Okay. Look, I even broadcast
Oh, were
this and
they?
I can't remember. Hold on. I'm gonna pull this up. Dave said there are three of us. So okay. Liam. Well, all right. Hold on. Let me pull up
Hold
the
on,
actual
hold
one.
on. Dave correcting us.
Yep.
By
Dave.
the way, if anybody doesn't know, Dave Solberg, Attack for Two, he's one of the best deck builders, one of the best players in the game. This
Indeed.
is the best run he's done at any DLC. I believe he said this is the best run he's had in his entire TCG career of over 20 years. Huge shout out to him. Well deserved weekend. I could not be prouder to know him and be his friend.
It's excellent.
So
Excellent.
he
Dave.
was the one in top
We'll
16.
have to have Dave on the show here. Dave, come on the show. Maybe next week. Talk about your build. Um, but yeah, so I will good correction there. This is what happens when you do a show like the day after your mind goes, even though I was staring at it, broadcasting it. But yeah, so here we do see the top 16. I don't have the top 32 graphic up available, but I do have the top 16. We do see the one moving on there. And then yeah, the correction. So there were three that advanced. So actually, I let me amend my previous statement. I think that Amber Amethyst was a very good meta call. That's the reason I did that video going into the event. I thought it was really well positioned in Amethyst heavy meta. And at 5% of the field to see 2% or to see two of the non OTW decks convert is very good. So I think that was a great call. And then of course Zan on the one turn one version, but we talk one note that we do talk about him as different decks, but Zan's plan A is to actually win the normal way,
Yeah.
with the leveraging the removal that you get off of Horseman Strikes and World's Greatest Criminal Mind, and then the ramp to give you an edge in the brawl, the mid game evasive brawl. So we talk about them as if they're different decks.
They are, though. They are different decks.
They are, but the big overlap between what you're trying to do in the mid game and why it's well positioned into an Amethyst meta, because you have the ramp, and then you also have that mid game removal plus the Mowgli to give you an edge.
So when you look at the core of the mid-range version, it is almost identical to Blurple. The only difference being you have the Horseman Strikes, you have World's Greatest Criminal Mind. So you have removal that doesn't give your opponent a resource like Blurple does. Obviously, when you have Into the Unknown and Hades, the drawback is you're ramping them. So they can hit points in the game against Blurple where they no longer have to use hand resources to ink. They just know, okay, well, on this turn, Hades is going to come down. On this turn, you need to have Into the Unknown, or I'm going to run away with the game, and that's just how it's going to go. The Amber removal cards don't do that. World's Greatest Criminal Mind is just a 1-for-1. If it has 5 strength, it's gone. You have Ilanwi to pump things up to get rid of it. And then the Horseman Strikes just says any evasive is gone. That Prince Philip that you just Militia Meetings carried me with, he's now gone. That 6/6, that quest for 3. Oh, here's a 3-cost action, and I draw a card for it too. That's the core fundamentals of the deck that are different, I think. Obviously, you look at a lot of Amethyst cores, they're pretty well the same. You have Genie, Dumbo, Elsa, Royal Guard, or Rafiki if you're really going for it. Woodchuck's Guidebook, now another just staple. Demona, also a staple now, is just incredibly powerful card. But the play patterns of the decks are all very, very different in how they get to their end games. Which is still interesting and fascinating to see pilots at very high levels see the lines that they go for in these different decks, because they can have, we talk about Amethyst Mirrors all the time. They can play out wildly differently depending on what the pilot's going for.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like that color combo in this meta. I think I'm surprised it took this long for it to come on as a competitor. But in this Amethyst heavy meta, it does. I don't know. To be quite honest, if I played in this DLC, I would probably have played the mid range version. Couple couple just comments from the chat. One, Mowgli might be the best card from set 10. A lot of good cards in set 10, but it
There's a lot of good.
certainly is very good.
I will say that Mowgli is. I would almost argue Mowgli is the best Amber card in set 10. I would say that. I would go that far.
Better than Horseman Strikes?
Yes.
Okay.
In a vacuum, yes.
In a vacuum, yes. In this meta, in the mid-range Brawl Wars. But yeah, I'm not coming up with anything.
Simply because Mowgli just immediately slotted in to any Amber deck, whereas Horseman Strikes fits into exactly one deck.
Yeah. I did see, and Mowgli does these dumb things. I did watch a game. Everything is a blur, but I'm pretty sure I watched a game this weekend where on the play, somebody used Mowgli to gank a Sail the Azurite Sea, and that was the only ramp card in Blurple, and just won the game basically right on the spot.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
I mean, so just out of curiosity, since we're talking about Sail the Azurite Sea, I think it would be good for us to talk to an expert on Sapphire cards. More importantly, Emerald Sapphire cards. What do you think?
I suppose. Do you have one handy?
I believe he's in the green room right now. Is he not?
He is. That's all right. It is always a pleasure, and to segue a little bit further, always a pleasure when people take the time to join us on the day after these DLCs, because as we're demonstrating right now, with how little we can remember about the weekend, it's absolutely exhausting. And our newest DLC winner just rolled into his house after driving and literally got on his computer and is joining us here tonight. So let's welcome in the winner of Disney Lorcana Challenge Richmond, the world's qualified Golden Mickey winner, DLC champion Fungus.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We got you.
Hey, good deal.
We got you. I missed the chance to say there's a fungus among us.
Hey, we're out here.
How you doing? How you feeling?
Pretty good, man. Had a good run.
You're so.
I'm one for two in DLCs that I've been able to play. So I'd rather be 2 for 2, but I'm good.
I mean, so legitimately, since the beginning of the weekend, I mean, anybody could look at your run and how it went, and I mean, it was just blessed from the start, man. I mean, do you kind of want to take us through it a little bit? Like, just talk about your day one a little bit. Just say how you were feeling just throughout and towards the end, just how it was going.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of the conversation you guys had earlier, and I agree with a lot of what was said. And I'll kind of, I'll say that I felt good into all my matchups, with the exception of this green-purple deck that just tries to burn you. Pretty tough matchup. I think we had a plan, but the plan's not great. Yeah. And dogs. Sky and I talked about this, and all the people that are touched on Blue Green Sailor, all the guys that have had their hand in the pot for all that good stuff, right? We talked on his Under the Sea, something we need to do. You guys, had that same conversation. I had it with Sailor, I had it with Sky, I had it with other Blue Green players. Like, can we cut Under the Sea? Is this really good? So me and everybody I was affiliated with that was touching Blue Green kind of knew that was the question. And what percentage points do we gain by not playing this thing? And what our matchups were bad. So early on, I'm queued into purple green burn, and I'm like, all right, well, here we are. Lost the game on the play, lost the game on the draw. Got one on the play with like 4 John Silvers in play at the end with him at like 18 lore, so just by the skin of my teeth. And the third one, again, at like 19 lore in a game where I played Little Clarabelle legit 5 times. So I played 3 of them, and then bounced it with Basil, bounced it with Mother Knows Best just to blow up Inkcasters and just items that were going to kill me. So felt pretty good off of that one. I won at 19 with him at 19 lore. Any card kills me. He did not top deck the thing, and I'm like, okay, I snuck one out. I just have to win all the matchups I'm supposed to, right? So it ended at the end of the day. I was 7-0 going into the last round. As you guys talked about the meta share, we thought dogs was something like 10%. Kind of that was, I think, where everybody kind of pegged dogs to be. In my version of the deck, I don't think I could ever beat dogs. I did beat a dogs on the draw on the way there, and I remember checking in with like my buddies and stuff. And I remember talking to Kendall, and Kendall's like, "You just beat dogs on the draw. You're not supposed to be able to beat that in any way, shape, or form." And he's like, "This is a blessed run. This is your event." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I just got lucky twice against Inkcaster and Inkcaster and these dogs players. So I got that one 7-0 into the last round. Played another dogs player, almost snuck in another win. Again, with no under the sea, no real way to board wipe them. Uh, made a little bit of a loose play at the end, trying to go for some greed and go for malicious, mean, and scary very quickly. And he got me with the third Mowgli, I think, in a row, something like that. So I'm like, they always have it, guys.
They always have the third.
They always have it. So end of the day in 7-1, still feeling pretty good. I was in first seed going into that last round. So again, feeling strong, feeling good about things. Came back in day 2, right? And first thing I came in, purple steel matchup, feeling great, right? Good matchup for us, and lost it in a unspectacular way. Kind of like you talked about, Logan. Like just the wheels fell off. Like I didn't find ramp. My cards aren't doing anything. Oh God, I just lost the matchup I'm not supposed to lose to. And then now I'm going to find another dogs player and I'm going to be eliminated, right? Another bad matchup the very next round, and I'm like, okay, I got to win all the rest of these, and I'm against Amber Steel, which I didn't think existed. But if it does, I'm not good because I don't have Under the Sea in my deck. So I was on the play. He didn't have strength and was able to like shift Clarabelle and just you're welcome everything, and got there. Game 2, he obliterated me, and then game 3, I played John Silver until the game ended. So it worked out. Again, snuck by, and then was able to finally get my last round. I had to play a blue-green mirror against an Ink Geyser deck. A really crazy back and forth on that one. If you guys have ever played against Ink Geyser, I think they have they have us on the regular version of the deck normally. But it's a wild one. But I'm pretty versed on blue-green mirrors. I played a million blue-green mirrors. They're not always fun, but I think I know how to navigate it at this point, and at least knew, fingers crossed, I know what to do if I have the tools to do so. So, I mean, I try to keep my calm at every stage of things, though. Like, I set minor little goals, right? Like, okay, make sure I make day 2, get my Continentals invite if I can, or at least top 64, and just kind of keep it running. And then people like, yeah, this is your event. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Just move on to the next round.
I remember specifically, like, obviously you were around Sky and you were around Wonder during all of top 32, and we were a lot of Maelstrom. We were just kind of scoping all the areas, and you were obviously one of our friends. We love to see you go far. It was definitely your time. You said it, and I don't think there's any hubris in saying it. You have more reps on Emerald Sapphire than I believe anybody in the world. I don't think anybody would dispute that. I would say you're arguably the best Emerald Sapphire pilot in the world. So seeing you have a run that is showing that the dedication and the time was, well versed. Could not be happier for you. But I remember it was your top 16 match, and I think you were against Amethyst Steel again. And I think it went over pretty quickly from what I remember. And you just kind of sat there looking at your phone, and Sailor looked at me. He's like, I've never seen someone look so sad to win a Golden Mickey. You just had you weren't showing any exuberance or any energy, and I totally understand, because you're at that point and you're just like, all right, next one's going, job's not done, I can go further, like I've just proven I can. So you're not trying to expend all that energy or lose some of that adrenaline until you move into the next one. You just kind of calmly move into the next one and keep a level headspace, and it showed the whole event, man. I don't think there's a better time to talk about the finals than with you here. Do you want to talk about just your mind? Because I would love to hear from your aspect, from your perspective, how it was going, because I would really love to talk about from our perspective how it was going, because me and Wonder and Sailor were just glued to the broadcast while it was going. So can you just kind of take us through the games and how you were feeling as they were going?
Yeah, man. I was chatting it up with you guys and Sky kind of all weekend, especially Sky, because we had touched base at CCS. He played blue-green in both events, and he played a different version than me. I did a little bit better than him, I think, in both events. I don't recall exactly, but we had card differentiation, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, you need to play 3-drop Phillip. It's really, really important. This is how you beat your purple steel matchup. You have to mulligan for this thing aggressively on the draw, and that's how you win. And I'm like, improvise is better than Under the Sea. If this, then that kind of situation. He was already on that plan. He was already way off of Under the Sea. And there was a kind of a camp of us that were off of it. Just like same mentality, right? How many percentage points does it actually give you? And I think the answer is not that many. Even if you have Under the Sea in your deck, and Diego will tell you this, Habibi will tell you this, because they obliterated me many, many times just running reps into those guys and like just top dogs players. You can have Under the Sea all you want. They have so much hand disruption. You have to draw it at exactly the right time with your singers in place, and the deck's just not set up to do that the way it's built right now. So, we're talking. I was talking to Sky a lot around, back and forth. So we were checking in, like, hey, how's our version of the deck going, right? Because we were kind of some of the few people that were on that specific version that was not running Under the Sea, with a lot of critical audience telling us that Under the Sea is a necessity. Which I get that mindset, but we were pretty confident that this was the best way to play the deck. So we kept checking in, and it just looked like from every angle, like Sky's on one side of the bracket, I'm on one side of the bracket. If the purple green deck, so if someone can beat that purple green deck, we're looking good. Like both sides. So we both felt good about it. Was a bunch of Blurple. Like, it was obviously amazing Blurple players. I had to play Rob, I had to play DKP. But I think somebody asked me, like, hey, are you so excited about beating DKP? Like, yeah, he's awesome, and like, I don't want to give any negativity here, but like, you got to kind of approach it like, yeah, I'm able to beat a deck if I have the tools to get there. I don't really care who the pilot is. They're going to play their best. I'm going to play my best, and we're going to see where things land. And I played DKP, back and forth, without knowing it many times. I'm sure.
Yeah,
we talked about it a little bit on the side, like in online games and stuff, just without knowing we playing each other. So I'm not worried about it, per se. Obviously, he's going to play better than the average Liverpool player, but I think I know how to play the matchup. And the same thing with Sky. He thought we were going to be in Blue Green finals. We talked about it very, very early on. Whether Wonderland beat me or not, we thought Blue Green was going to be in the finals. So yeah, it was just really cool because we manifested it, and when we got there, I thought we both knew how to play. I thought Sky might not have been on one bend, but then we changed list, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I played the bend now," because he wasn't on a bend before, and I was like, "Yeah, you have to play bend. You can't beat if the other blue green deck has bend and you don't, you will lose." So
that was another thing we talked about to change to get to going into the event.
Yeah, and I think most everybody agreed on that except for Sky. Back then, at least then, he came around, obviously. So. I don't know where his head was at different places in the evolution of his deck, but yeah, man. So I didn't want Sky and I have a lot of history even prior to Maelstrom. Both of us were early grinders on Internet Lorcana. I used to play Red Blue Control back then before all my cards got banned. He was on Blue Steel, and we'd be up late night just queuing in and playing each other all the time. So we trade blows all the time, and like it's kind of just, we didn't know each other, but we kind of knew each other, that kind of thing. We didn't chat all the time, but like we always play each other because we'd all be queuing at the same time. So had a lot of history, and hadn't met him too many times in person, but this is, I think, the second time, third time, something like that. But yeah, it just felt like we had a long relationship. So I was happy to see him in the finals, especially on like a 59 card mirror. Like another person had confidence in the exact same deck list, more or less. We're on the same mindset, and that we both got there in the same direction. Was really happy to see him. And honestly, again, it was just in the same mindset of one step at a time. I think I can win this. I think I know how to play the mirror better than everybody else. But Sky's obviously very competent, and he'll take the lines he needs to if he sees them. So yeah, one step at a time. As we played the finals, and I'm sure everybody saw this, like first two games, I felt really confident. Like I just had it wrapped up. I had the bend early. It wasn't particularly close, and I got pretty confident. Wheels fell off a little bit in games 3 and 4, and then even game 5, I got a little bit confident because I had the board mostly under control. He draws his bend off of my You're Welcome after I drew my bend. Off of the Clarabelle draw that turn, was able to lock me out of the game. But at least I had a lot of board presence and was able to put him on a clock. Took over the game, obviously, and then the momentum of the T-pose got me there, man. So it was a wild game. Like I think both of us were completely fried. I will tell you, I was a lot more fried because Sky is a much younger guy than I am. I've been doing this since like 1998. Playing card games, and Sky just definitely had the advantage of youth in that matchup and still making better, clear decisions. But thankfully, it drew cheap off the top and got there. So,
I mean, so I will say, just from our perspective, What a finals, man. I mean, if there's anything that anybody could point out and say, this is what peak Lorcana looks like, this is what the highest level of gameplay looks like, it's this finals. The back and forth you guys had was just absolutely incredible. I mean, every ink decision mattered. Every character put on the board mattered at every point in the game from turn one. I mean, there were a couple of games from Sky side and your side both like, all right, that's a Prince Philip in the Inkwell. You don't want to see that. That's a Clarabelle 7 in the Inkwell. You don't want to see that. That's You're welcome. Like we were keeping track of that as that was going. So we were just kind of seeing, we were able to kind of deduce what your hands were if we weren't able to see the whole thing, just based off of what your ink decisions were and your plays were. But man, the way you got, especially you, Fungus. I mean, I just want to shout you out even harder. There are so many points in, especially the last game, your ink decisions and things you committed to the board. I mean, just masterful play. I know you're saying you were, burnt by the end of it. All of us that were watching, we were just seeing two guys who were battling it out. I mean, just fantastically. You made Sky work for every inch of ground that he got in all 5 of those games, man. I mean, we legitimately thought by the midway point of game 3 that you just had it locked, that you were just going to do a quick 3-0 sweep. And I mean, this is our next Worlds competitor coming into it. And then Sky just somehow found the lines to come back. But I can't shout out your gameplay high enough, man. I mean, I will, for anybody that I have coaching sessions for going, and like this will be a set that I think anybody needs to go back and watch if they want to learn or glean anything from Sapphire mirrors in general. This legitimately was the best finals I think we could have asked for in the entire event.
Yeah, I appreciate the compliments, man. I tried to play. I know I was playing really well, really up until those last 2 games, but be 100% with you. My caffeine wore off. I was in the bad place. You probably saw me rub my eyes and stuff, and I'm like, oh god, I'm not doing well. So I was happy to have a little bit of good variance at the very, very end. I'll take it, especially after seeing like 17 cards looking for my 4th 3-drop Philip. I'm sure people were like, some people asked me like, what were you looking for? And I'm like, well, 3-drop Philip just wins the game because he doesn't have any more Philips in his deck. Because I knew he is all 4 of them were used. He inked 2 of them early and he played 2. So I was like, okay, if I draw 3-drop Philip, I just win. Looked at 17 cards or something and didn't find it. And I'm like, all right, well, if I flip it off the top, I win. And then T-Po's sitting there. I'm like, oh, cool. I guess this works.
That's fine.
When you got when you got the second vision to develop, we're like, he's got it. Like he's seen half his deck at this point. There's no way that the 3-drop Prince isn't coming down. And just, man, like just talk about a nail biter. Like, and talk about ink decisions. Like had Sky made different ink decisions in the 3 turns prior, I mean, like we're probably looking at a different game. But obviously not knowing what the contents of his hand were, we don't know what his other options were and what his thought process was. But I mean, again, just cannot shout out the skill level and just decision making that we saw in the finals. I mean, it was just absolutely what somebody who's a competitor, just what we want to see. Something that's a genuine high level stakes battle of back and forth of 2 guys who really, really understand the decks they're playing.
Yeah, it was a battle, man. And Sky's a great player. Nothing against him at all. I would have been completely fine if he had won. I would have been super stoked for him. He absolutely would have deserved it, and he's going to get his. So watch him for sure.
Yeah. As you look back at the and so full disclosure, glad Logan's here to carry this part of the conversation. I didn't get to watch much of the gameplay in the finals. I did get to see the end of game 5, but from a macro perspective, I got to see you picking up 2 games and then Sky clawing his way back and both of you winning games on the draw, which is pretty great. But as you look back at the finals and you kind of reflect on that 5-game series, are there particular, like, what moments stand out to you? What are the big, I don't know. Are there particular moments that stand prominent in your mind as you look back on that set?
You didn't catch it on camera, but Sky and I were riffing a little bit in the first 2 games. And honestly, I think that actually played in a little bit. Like I think we were both kind of goading each other. Friend in a friendly way, but like when there was a game 2 or something, and obviously it's pretty obvious, but I played Cindy into a Cindy, and on my second Cindy trigger, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to use it. with like 3 singers out, and he's like, "Oh God, I'm dead," uh, and he was dead. It was amazing hand. It was like double you're welcome with a Clarabelle out and a bend in my hand. So if he didn't bend me right there, the game is over. And so we were having a lot of back and forth, and at some point it just stopped. I think we got game 3, got to a really critical decision for both of us, and it was very very tense, and we just stopped talking.
Hmm.
So we were super friendly and like having banter at some point. I think both of us just kind of, I don't know if he like his stress got to him, and it definitely got to me at one point. So because you feel like 2-0, I'm on top of the world. Can't lose this. I'm going to play several games on the play, right? But no, there was a lot of good back and forth at the very end. Even we got one more jab in there. I'm like, don't slow roll me, just flip it, just kill me. And he didn't have it. So I'm happy some variants broke in my favor for the very last time.
Yeah. What's it like? I cannot put myself in that in those shoes, knowing you're playing at the table, and it's not feature matches are one thing, but a feature match where everything is on the line, the entire venue is watching you. You've got thousands and thousands of people from around the world watching every single card that you play. Like what does it feel like to sit in that chair, knowing that the entire Lorcana world is focused on every move that you're making?
Uh, I will say, so I've been playing games at a very high level. Not to be braggadocious. I don't want to be that way, but I'm always focused on being competitive. I try to be the most competitive in whatever I'm focused on. Whether other TCGs I came from video game background. I was a professional StarCraft player for a very short period of time. So
Okay.
like I am very used. Like I'm just the kind of person that I very focus on being competitive. So I've been on stages like that before. Not necessarily a stage per se, but like I have to focus on this and kind of just make the world go away. And to Logan's point is he's like, yeah, you look sad winning his big old Mickey. I was just, I needed to talk to some people. I needed to have a little moment, just breathe for a minute and refocus. And that's kind of been my ritual as much as possible. Because if I let the wheels fall off, or if I get too excited, I start to make decisions that are not, with all of my brain, that kind of thing. And so that's been my process. Not everybody can do that, and I definitely understand that. I'm the kind of guy who's good at standardized tests too. So if you're like bad at standardized tests, I have the part of my brain that's good at that, and I'm bad at other things. So, but yeah, I mean that's just the way I am. I don't necessarily think everybody can do that. So when I do coach people, I try to give them tips along those lines of this is what you can do to maybe help refocus you in these situations. And like a lot of my friends and stuff, I'll shout out to Tyler, Kendall's brother, Tyler Burdett, and Kendall too. Like he's one of my coachees that actually went deep at CCS with the same deck list we played. Um, and he over the course of the event was having a little, having some tough times, and I'm like, just one match at a time, man. You're gonna fight back. And he ended up making day 2, but that's the kind of advice I give is just try to give one match at a time as much as you can. If you have the tools to succeed, all you can do is with the decisions, make good decisions, and at that point, it's variance in these kind of games. So I try to just focus on making good decisions and winning where I can win, and don't focus on the ones I can't. And with this deck this weekend, it was dogs. I didn't think I could beat dogs, but I figure I'll make all the decisions right and make them beat me, right? And I got to beat them once. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made day 2. So
I mean,
same kind
I
of
think no, I think that's a really important mindset to remind a lot of people. There are some moments where I've seen people look at board states and just scoop and be like, "Oh, well, it's over." I always encourage people that even if you see the writing on the wall and something's happening, like still make your opponent do it. Like the game's not over until your opponent's at 20 in this game. So don't give up until their lore counter is at 20. As long as you have the tools to navigate situations and you're able to make those I mean, just like you're talking about, just Amir, what you're saying, as long as you're able to make the correct decisions and remember that you have the XYZ tools in your deck, a lot of the times you can get back to stable in whatever board state you're looking at. So, I mean, I think that's fantastic advice to give anybody. Just take it one at a time. Obviously, there are moments where excitement is, warranted, right? Don't let don't let you or I saying like, oh, well, just take it one step at a time. For sure, get excited. For sure, have those moments. But if you're having deep runs at these big events, it's good to find your center and that kind of like a grounding moment so that you don't adrenaline dump your way into, like you were saying, not using your whole head the next time you're having to make a critical decision.
Yeah, and another one I'll not to belabor this point too much. It's just look for your wins. Like you just think about what do I do to win, not playing to win, not playing not to not lose. If that makes any sense. Like just extending the game is not necessarily going to make you win the match. Play in such a way that you're going to make them have it every time. That's another big one. I just tell people that are just new to competitive space is make sure you're keeping your opponent honest and make them have it every time, and play in such a way that you could win the game, not to just stall or delay the game, that kind of thing. So in my case, that win condition was just I need him not to have 2 pieces of removal on this specific turn, and or me draw that third Phillip or that fourth Phillip. But yeah, that case it could have been Clarabelle, could have been Little Tipo. He had to have 2 pieces of removal, he didn't, and we did it.
Yeah. Shout out to Villain, who's dialing in for a moment before jumping on his plane to London. A lot of travel for him the last few days. So thanks, Villain, for an awesome weekend. Why? It's a question you've probably talked about a bunch in your content, but now in retrospect, having seen it and played the event, why was Blue Green? Why was Emerald Sapphire so well positioned for this event?
I think Xenulos talked about it just a little bit, but I thought we were favored into every Amethyst matchup. And if you know how to play the mirror well, then you're obviously you feel pretty good about the field. We had a read that dogs was something like 10% of the meta, and just talking to other good players and the groups and stuff, people that would share information. Most people aren't like super secretive about that, of like what we expect to see, even if they had some secret technology or whatever they're hiding. Everybody thought dogs was something between 10 and like 15%, somewhere in that range. If we look at it from a statistical perspective, you're maybe 1 in 10, maybe like maybe 1 in 9 chance to see dogs. And in a 2,000 person event, especially if the dogs players are getting eaten up by some of their natural predators like purple steel, ruby amethyst, if they're out in that field, even the blurples with wasabis and stuff. We saw that people were putting Benjas in their deck, as many as 4 of. I saw 4 of Benja in a deck on Friday. People really were not wanting to lose the dogs. So we took the opposite approach. If we're going to lose to dogs, we will not lose to anything else. So with improvise, it improves all your other matchups. It makes you have less variance in terms of brick tans. Under the Sea is a really hard card to get rid of if you don't have Tipo or Cindy readily available, and just doesn't always play out that way. So just having the inkable slot and having something that was a cantrip, basically something that will replace itself, meant that we were playing fewer cards in our deck effectively at the right times. That's why, on my deck list, when I showed it to Sky, it just off the top, it just said 54 cards because I'm playing 4 develops and 2 improvise. So I'm playing six fewer cards than everybody else because I get to draw more cards than they do. So that's the way I approach it. It's an inkable card. It will get people if they play an Iago and that's your turn and I go improvise, the game is over. You've been time walked. It's a huge deal in a lot of matchups. So that was our approach to the metagame. It's like we know our bad matchup. Let's just write that one off. We don't think we can win it. If you win it, it's a miracle. That's fine. Take those.
It's for sure the thing that Lee and I have talked about a lot. To win an event like this, I think you have to try to hedge and make a polarizing deck list, and that's absolutely what you and Sky did. Obviously, the rest of us, we were on the Under the Sea plan. It was like, all right, well, if we run into dogs, we're going to have a silver bullet. But you and Sky and anybody else who saw an improvise were just like, we know it's a losing matchup. It's already hard even with Under the Sea. We're just going to go ahead and take that lump, and we're going to move on and make sure that everything else is as strong as possible. And obviously, that was the correct choice for the weekend. I mean, again, shout out to you guys for sticking with it and having the confidence and the meta read of saying, like, this is what we believe to do, and if we get the bracket we want, this is just what's going to take us all the way. I don't know how much I could say it more, man. I'm so stoked for you that this was your event. I mean, it's a long time coming. Like I said, I've known you, maybe not in person for a while, but I've known you online for a good minute. and seeing you make this deep run, like I couldn't be happier to see someone of your caliber get there, man. Like I'm so stoked for you.
Yeah, the support means a lot, guys. I've had everybody reach out to me and be like, "Hey, was super impressed by your gameplay and all this stuff." Like people throughout the day, just watching games and stuff, like telling me, "You got this, you got this." And I try not to get too hyped up, but it feels good. You know, I like it's nice to have people in your corner. I'll shout somebody out specifically here. You know, on that vibe. When I took 2 losses in a row after going 7-0 and being first seed, and feeling pretty good about myself. I took that second loss on day 2 and had to win completely out. Dan from TFM sent me a message on the side. He's been in some of our lounger chats and like green blue discussions that I was kind of leading prior. Just kind of talking shop in the past. And he messaged me after I kind of was talking to him the same way with his deep run. And he's like, "Hey, you got this. You're going to win out. Just clear your head, whatever." And so, I have total confidence in you. That kind of stuff. Just sent me a whole bunch of messages right away. And I looked at my phone, in between rounds. I'm like, "This is really nice to see." And a lot of different people in person and stuff like told me, "Hey, you totally got this. It's amazing." All this good stuff. So, even though I'm trying not to get hyped up and still trying to be focused, it's nice to have the reinforcement and I'm not like I'm a pretty like death and taxes guy, but like the vibes must be a thing because there was some good variance on my side.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a super impressive run. And, my final thought before I ask you for your closing thoughts, Fungus, is, this is something that was said earlier, but, it is a gift to the Lorcana community that we have that finals on tape, and like that match that we can go back and watch now, seeing your lines and hearing you talk about how you prepped for the event and seeing the payoff in the finals, all the decisions you made, the practice you made leading up to it, and how well you navigated that, and just the drama of that. I mean, that is what makes card games beautiful. Is you getting to express the art of your deck to show that skill expression at the highest level, with the highest stakes on the line against a fantastic competitor. And that's what the game's all about. So thanks for giving that to us, that final match. And yeah, it's just an incredible performance. So any closing thoughts on the weekend, Fungus? Any last? I mean, I say this every time. We could talk to you all night, but I know all of us are gassed, and so I think we'll call it in a moment. But any closing thoughts on the weekend? Like last impressions? Any last shout outs?
I'll start off with Tyler Burdett, Kendall's brother. If you guys know Kendall, he had a deep run at CCS. He's been my buddy all the way through this. So very very supportive. Kind of had a back and forth relationship where he was super down, and I was supporting him, and I got to a bad place, and he was always in my corner. So definitely shout out to him. I didn't say it on camera. I just was rattling off who I remembered. Sailor's another one, man. Sailor and I have been talking since like I was a red blue player and a control player for the longest time, like I mentioned. So we've had a lot of red blue conversations before, and I've had some deep runs on his list and stuff like that. In open events. And Sailor and I have been really, really good conversations back and forth, and getting a lot of I don't know, just good vibes from him. Really helped. Other folks, Jeremy, we don't always agree, but we've had good conversation back and forth on green blue, that kind of stuff. Pandemonium, another big green blue stan, been out here for a long time since set 7 basically. He has a different deck list, and he can tell you all about that. I'm not a Judy Hopps believer, but super good guy, and we have a lot of same philosophical stances on things, and he's gonna make a deep run soon. And I didn't have a long list here, but my wife helping me drive to Richmond. I said it a couple of different times, but not having to fly. You guys have seen me in person, but not everyone has seen me in person. I am a gigantic human being. I'm like 6'4", like 300 pounds, in that range. I'm a big dude. Getting on an airplane for me is a hurdle. So I have to fly for long stretches. But being able to drive to Richmond and having my wife help the driving and stuff like that, and just making it easier, and me not being punished for traveling, helps a lot. I got there healthy, feeling decent, got a good night's sleep and everything like that. So it means a lot to have somebody in your corner, whether it's significant other or just your teammates or whatever, that are helping you be set up for success without factors outside of just your gameplay. That can only take you so far. At that point, your body and your mind have to catch up.
Mhm.
So no, that's a big one for me.
Yeah. Shout out to all the spouses and the partners that support us and let us take part in this crazy hobby, whether it's on the content side or the playing side. So I appreciate that a lot. As Aaron puts my daughter to bed. Logan, any closing thoughts on the weekend?
I mean, we touched on it before. There's nothing that really mirrors the magic of a DLC weekend. I mean, I'm sure Fungus can tell us stories too. There were a lot of people that think that were kind of jaded about Lorcana going into this weekend. Maybe have been playing different games for a little while with Riftbound, Cookie Run. I've seen some people going back to Hearthstone a little bit, just in the between events. But everybody that came to the event this weekend felt like there was a fire that was reignited for the game. Everybody was really focused. Everybody was really excited about the future of the game. It felt like everybody that was playing Infinity on Sunday while the main event was still going on was expressing that they were feeling that it was a fun format, and looking forward to the next one in Indianapolis. I think that's kind of a healthy spot to be. We have some CCQs coming up. I'm for sure going to try to make a few because now I have to get my Continental's invite so I can stand next to some of my brothers and make sure that I'm there to help represent. But man, just to shout out Fungus again, man, I cannot express how amazing the finals was to watch. Seeing how well you navigated the deck specifically on every single game. I know you're saying that, man, I was burnt after game 3, game 4. From your decision making and ink decisions and just things you committed to the board. We just saw a man who was playing the deck at the highest level as masterfully as he can, and just a mere Liam, man. It was a gift to be able to watch that finals, and man, that is going to be a highlight for I believe the history of Lorcana.
Yeah, I really appreciate the support and kind things.
Can't say it any better myself. If you're watching us, thank you so much for tuning in right after the DLC, especially if you were at the DLC, because I'm sure you, like us, are absolutely exhausted. If you are not already following Fungus, and you should be, you can follow him on Twitter at Fungus317 and also YouTube. Fungus does amazing content. You're on Twitch too, right, Fungus? What's your Twitch handle?
Not on Twitch. I do a little bit of YouTube streaming. I appreciate you shouting out the YouTube. That's probably where most of my content is going to end up being. I do a little bit of streaming on YouTube too. But if you're specifically interested in this deck, this is the exact same deck list that Tyler Burdett and I played at CCS, and both of us had deep runs at the 5K and the 25K respectively. And we had a lot of good conversation on that. I'll have kind of some follow-up content coming soon. Just on this and kind of it may be different thoughts for people that are thinking about bringing this to a set champs or whatever your upcoming tournament are that we have before this format rotates. But there's a very good video that's already out there in long form with Tyler and I talking at length about this deck list. And I think I played what Sky actually played in the finals card for card at CCS, and Tyler played what I played card for card at CCS.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I'll make sure to get that link from you or dig it up, and we'll get it in the show notes. So anybody watching, you can access that pretty easily. But if you were looking at the comments at all during the show, many people, at least 10 or 15, saying in the comments that they credit Fungus, they credit you with their run at the DLC or in other tournaments, what they've learned from you. So Fungus, definitely a fantastic player and creator you all should follow. If you're interested in this ink color or just Lorcana in general, because not only is he a fantastic player, but he's good at relaying information because clearly people are benefiting from it. So thank you all so much for being here. Just a couple other notes. Thank you all to our Patreon supporters, everybody who subscribed during the show, because a bunch of people did that on Twitch, which is strange. But in that I'm not used to it, but I appreciate you all. And for the super chats, thanks to everybody who gave us props throughout the weekend. Logan, or anybody who is involved in the show, appreciate you. One other thing I want to mention, if you are in Florida or you're able to make it to Miami, Miami TCGCon next weekend should be a lot of fun. I'll be there. Lorcana Villain will be there. There is a Lorcana tournament hosted by PPG with some fantastic prizes. It should be streamed, and there'll be a number of Lorcana artists there as well. So if you can make, if you can make it to Miami, we'd love to see you there. We'd love to see you play in the tournament. You can meet Lorcana Villain if you didn't have a chance to, at Richmond. Other than that, we will see you back here next Monday, and hope you all have a wonderful week. Thanks for watching.
Have a good night.